Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today. Peacock's got your next TV obsession. It's a dark comedy called Based on a True Story.
Los Angeles couple Ava and Nathan feel like their lives are falling apart.
Ava's one ray of sunshine, immersing herself in true crime 24/7.
When a unique podcast opportunity capitalizing on America's obsession with murder arises, the couple finds themselves in over their heads.
From the Emmy Award-nominated producer of The Boys and executive producer of Ozark, Based on a True Story stars Emmy Award nominee Kaylee Cuoco and Chris Messina. Stream it on June 8th, only on Peacock.
Get everything you need for your weight management goals, all in convenient daily packs with GNC.
Enhance calorie burn and support immune health while you diet and exercise with GNC Energy and Metabolism VitaPack programs.
I am really obsessed with this. I've got the Mega Man Energy and Metabolism Vitamin Blend, and I find that's been really wonderful. And I also use the Lean Shake 25.
It's like they fit every product you want in one box, and you get up to $40 in savings just for opening it up.
Save on GNC's best multivitamins and diet support and energy and metabolism VitaPack programs up to $40 compared to buying supplements separately.
Welcome to one of the easiest ways to live well. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Watch What Crappens, the podcast for all that crap we love to talk about on Ye Olde Bras. Hi, I'm Ronnie, and with me is the gorgeous, the talented, the handsome Ben Mandelker. Hello, Ben.
Hi, you look great, by the way, Ronnie.
Hey, you look great.
Hey,
why doesn't anybody
great.
just support my future wife?
I'm just here to support. Okay.
Welcome
How you doing,
everybody
Ronnie?
to Summer House Reunion Day. Just before we get into it, we are still on tour. We're finishing up in June. We're going to a lot of amazing places. Next week, we're going to be in San Diego. Why would I close my window with all of our dates on it? It was just right in front of my face. And I was like, you know what? I need less windows open in my life. And I closed it. But next week, we're going to be in San Diego. Then we're going to be in St. Paul, followed by Chicago and Columbus. Then we're going to Boston. And we're going to finish up end of June at the Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. So come. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Hi there.
Hi.
Subscribe down below. Subscribe to
Smash
us.
that button.
If you want these video recaps as soon as they come out instead of having to wait a week, you do that by going to patreon.com/watchwhatcrappens. On the Crappens On Demand level, you also get bonus episodes, access to our Discord, lots of other fun stuff, sometimes pre-sales and stuff like that we do. So thanks to everybody for being members. We love you guys. Okay? So, Ben, do you have anything that you would like to talk about today before it gets really serious?
I have two things. First, check out my food newsletter, NBD Fancy, because as promised last week, I have compiled a list of things you can make or bring to a Vanderpump Rules watch party potluck.
Love it.
So I'm giving you that heads up today, since the reunion is on tomorrow, so you have time to make your thing. So if, I came up with some ideas. I also credited Mr. Ronnie Karam, my wonderful co-host here, for one thing, and some people on Reddit. I've tried to really credit where credit was due. So go check that out at nbdfancy.substack.com if you want to see some Vanderpump Rules watch party food ideas. But the other thing I need to talk about is that I've decided I'm going to try my very hardest not to plunge myself, and therefore the podcast, into yet another tired debate over Team Paige, Team Lindsay.
Oh, God.
Who did it? Are they mean girls? Are they not mean girls? Yada, yada, yada.
Good luck.
I just, you know what?
Good luck on a show with two girls basically fighting the entire time, and it's going to be 3 more weeks. You know, here's what I'd say to you. Buckle up, Cupcake. Okay? What does
try.
Captain Lee say? Buckle up,
Buckle up,
Cupcake.
Buttercup. Or a cupcake is
Buckle
nice
up,
too.
Buttercup, because we've got 3 weeks of fighting about this stuff. And, I say let's roll in the mud. Let's do it. Let's pull each other's hair. You're going to lose that one.
Well, you know what? I have to say, it was, I thought this was a very funny reunion. I was definitely cracking up. I feel like Paige cracked me up because Paige does this thing on reunions where she just makes little comments on the side. Like, this is her new thing that she's been not new, but like last year, I think she did it, this year, where like no matter what's being talked about on the side, she's like, yeah, right. Sure.
She also does that on the show. That's her personality. Like she's a snickerer,
She's a Snickers. She's satisfied.
Yeah, I don't mind a little side snickering. That's how I communicate as well. Here's my thing with Paige. She comes out in the season. She's very Jen Aiden in this way. For anybody who watches Real Housewives of New Jersey, which should be all of us. But she's a little Jen Aiden in the way that during the season, and I'm going to exclude this season for Jen, because Jen was wackadoo the whole time. But usually Jen will come in the season and act one way. And it's like sometimes crazy, sometimes nice, but calmer. But then she shows up at a reunion and she gets herself so hyped up for the reunions that she's just mean. I mean, she's just like a total villain. Like, you need to see her in a fur and smoke behind her and a couple of eels at her side. Like, she gets really villainous. And Paige does that too. This is the second reunion in a row where Paige just shows up like, fuck you, Lindsay, I fucking hate. And it's like, where is this? Like, I know that you don't like Lindsay, but
Craig.
like...
It's got to be the Craig factor, right? Ever since Craig came into her life, she's a disaster on reunions. I mean, I think that like Paige legitimately was like, I was going to say that for most of this episode, she was losing this reunion, but I think she had a very strong like final 5 minutes that may have redeemed her. And I think the shoe story, which we'll get to, that was hilarious and it's great. So, but I
don't think she had a loser of a reunion. I can't
Really?
say that I'm always on her side, because Paige, I'm really not on her side very often on this show. I do find her really funny, and I think she's got a very strong point. I think she's got a very strong technique of arguing. Where this time I started to see what she was doing. It's like she's going to come in with this strong anti-Lindsay right out the gate. And who gives a fuck whether you question it or not? And then she's going to prove it the entire time. And she's going to keep hammering the jury with evidence, you know? And I think she did a pretty good job, I have to say, while also being funny. So let's see. I mean,
she cracked me up.
I mean, I'm sitting here, this whole season I've been fighting in Lindsay's favor, and I'm going to probably do that through the reunion as well, because I think Lindsay was more right than Danielle, for sure. But in this one, I'm never going to argue that Lindsay's not vile. I mean, of course Lindsay's fucking vile, and of course Lindsay's a fucking nightmare. That's why she's the star of this show. I mean, say whatever you want about anyone else, but they're not the star. Lindsay is literally the star of this show, okay?
Lindsay's the star. I think the reason why I was saying that Paige felt like she was losing it was that it was I guess she was losing the age-old fight about is she a mean girl, because she was snickering off to the side, which doesn't help dissuade you from that. And then on top of that, they threw it in her face millions of times that before the season began, they had this lovely luncheon where everything was fine, and Paige said everything was fine and like clean slate, and then Paige immediately reneged on that. And that was like really damning, I thought, for Paige. But then, like you said, she then eventually was able to truly present her evidence. And then I do feel like the tide turned for Paige on the first episode there. So, yeah, it was, it was great.
I'm all over the place this whole time. My mind kept changing. I kept getting offended, but then I would be on that person's side, and then I was offended by this person and offended by that person. And let's just get into it, because there's a lot of it. Okay?
We can always agree on one thing, though. Chris still sucks.
Chris sucks. We can agree on that. We can probably agree this was not the strongest season of Summer House, and I'm really glad that they're at reunion time, because this is what I need. This season has, parts of it have sucked the life out of me, so I'm glad we're at reunion time, because reunion's always fun, baby. Okay, so here we are. Violins. We see New York City with no traffic, because it's so early in the morning, and Lindsay's like, I have nothing to lose, because I don't give a fuck, and there's literally nothing worse than what my friend did to me this season. It does not get worse than that. Yes, it does. She wasn't. There's a
No one
lot
died.
worse than what Danielle did to you this season. You're coming in as the villain. You idiot. Lindsay, you have everybody on your side, and you're going to come in acting like the biggest victim and a villain. I wouldn't do that. Bad move, especially for a PR person who should know better. Bad.
I also have to say it was funny watching these limos pull up, and like you said, the violins was like very serious, and they were really doing like a Succession thing. You know, the Succession finale obviously just aired a few nights ago, and this felt like this Bravo's like, hey, we can do Succession too. It was like they're all going to a board meeting to try to like save Loverboy or something. So
and I feel the same way about this cast that I feel about the kids on Succession, the family on Succession. I watched them all fighting and jockeying for this top spot, and I think none of you deserve it.
Nope.
Literally, none of you deserve it. You all suck. You're all a bunch of privileged assholes who have been handed everything. None of you deserve a fucking thing. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's how I hope it ended.
So Danielle, then we hear Danielle's voiceover where she's like, I needed an entire mental health day when we wrapped. It's like when you experience death in real time. Like, I don't know if I can go through that again. Wow, Danielle, you needed a day off.
Wow, Danielle,
I did that just when I go to
death
the
in
store.
real time. What does that even mean? It's like if I was there when Elvis died instead of just hearing about it years later. I don't understand what that means, experiencing death in real time, but drama noted.
You know what I experienced in real time? Great mileage with my Kia Telluride. Furthermore, it's been several months now, and like Lindsay's hurt, I'm hurt, we're all hurt, and like it's gonna like take both of them to put their swords down and be like, you look great by the way, but like listen, I'm pulling for it, but if I were a betting man in Vegas, I'll put my money on cream suits being in for next year. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm a betting man in Vegas, I'd say, hey, this might be addiction transfer. What are we talking about? So we get a close-up of a sheep with dramatic music going on. And then we just hear who I think this is the blonde girl, Sam. I think it's her. She goes, is that a raccoon?
We're going to need to do some fundamental training just to be on this show, okay? Just some flashcards, just to make sure everyone's on the same. Come on. It's like a sheep.
Wow.
So Paige sees Sam and goes, oh, you changed. And Sam doesn't like really hear the judgment in that. Instead, she's like, oh yeah, 3 dresses fell through in the last in a row. And so like, I picked this out at like 7 p.m. last night. Like, what? Yeah. Like, what? That's crazy. Like, who am I right now? Like, am I crying right now? Am I crying about these dresses right now? Oh my God. Also, Corey and I just like fucked.
Yeah, like I had other dresses to wear, but Corey came all over them. So like this one thankfully was still in the dry cleaner plastic. So
Talk about a dress coming through. So then Carl and Lindsay
come out like, you know, the Obamas. Like,
hello.
Hello. That was a double hello. That's what we do on Bravo now. I'm a Padma. I'm a Padma. She's a Tom. I'm a Padma.
Hi, chefs.
Hello, chefs.
My dear friend,
is there a gel mat for me to stand on out here? This reunion? That'd be great.
Chefs, please welcome James Beard Award winner, my future wife, Lindsay Hubbard.
Loved Carl's move away from white jeans into a cream suit. And then Lindsay is wearing a disco ball crop top thing that, you know, like, listen, if everyone's referring to you as being old, don't show up in a disco ball. You know what I mean? It just makes me think of just my mom and dad fucking in the bowling alley in 1974.
I just Debbie Harry playing on the music on the radio. It's like Rapture. The original Lindsay Hubbard song.
So, hello, and no one says hi to them because they hate them. So Lindsay's like, oh, man, do you know where we're sitting? And they're holding hands, of course, because that's their whole personality, guys. They're a couple, and they're coming in united.
Yeah. And then everyone's sitting down. Sam is like, my personality is this hair, so do it right. And then Paige is like, I like when my arms look really skinny. So could you just put like a sleeve on it that's like the color of this couch and then just draw like a little white line across it. And I can say, that's my arm.
Yeah. I really like when my arm is skinny. That's why I came as a flamingo again today. Because If you find an animal that looks right on you, wear it every day with pride. Top of the day. Amazon Live. Like, subscribe and prime it. Okay?
Paige has like a flower on her neck.
She does look like she looks like one of the monsters. She looks like a very pretty version of one of the monsters from The Last of Us, because that's a zombie. That's a zombie thing on HBO, but instead of being ugly zombies, they're like flower zombies because they're like biologically they're made from a fungus, so they all look like different kind of horrific flowers. And Paige looks like she's just been bit and is like, oh God, I'm becoming a zombie. Well, you know what? What would zombies look cutest in? Choker. Okay, you heard it here first, zombies. Okay, prime it in Amazon Zombie Live it. Okay.
Well, considering that Paige is literally the last of all those people from Betches that came over in season 3, it's appropriate.
I am the last of us.
I am the last of us. Hannah and Jordan have been swallowed by the zombie apocalypse.
Let's see. Who else is dressed funny? Danielle's dressed. Okay, so Amanda's wearing this like yellow. It's not sequins, but it's like glittery. It's like soccer. It reminds me of like a soccer uniform fabric. And then Danielle comes out and she's wearing like a sadder version of it. And I was like, oh, you shouldn't be sitting next to someone in a sadder version of their dress. But that's so Danielle, isn't it? It's like, I'm going to sit not in first seat, but next to somebody with a less great version of their dress.
She bought it at Sad's Fifth Avenue. So Andy comes out and he's like, hey, and he walks up to Kyle and he goes, well, I brought a pink suit and you're the reason I couldn't wear it. So thanks a lot. I tried to say, hey, I am the guys in charge here. And they said, but Kyle only has one seat. So here I am, just wearing this piece of shit. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Thanks.
So it's like, welcome to the season 7 reunion of Summer House. These Hamptons housemates have had a season like no other. Sam and Corey fucked a lot, and Lindsay got bit by Paige got bit by a flower zombie from The Last of Us, and now has a chrysanthemum deadhead growing out of her neck. So that's fun. That's fun.
There have been some new beginnings, unimaginable endings, and a lot of footage of a Kia Telluride driving down that driveway.
This is the season of the Kia. Let's watch. We welcomed her with open arms, and she proved to us that she's got charms. Let's watch footage of the Kia. Everybody.
Babe, we're here.
Babe, we made it, babe.
I'm gonna leave, babe.
Okay, babe, time to go.
Why don't people know how to park?
Babe, I'm so mad right now. Let's go to Barry's.
So we get the Kia package, and then we move on to clip of Kyle's tiny wiener, and what a wacky season it was. And it's so sad because the whole season is basically boiled down to Kyle's sad birthday party that wasn't even that great. It's like, wow, Kyle had a tiny cowboy hat on his wiener. This show needs some retooling as well. Saying that a lot this week, and guess what? I mean every word of it. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Like we're cultural critics. So Kyle, Andy's like, speaking of, this set is inspired by your 40th birthday, Kyle, except it's much nicer and way better than a bunch of streamers and a cowboy hat on a dick. Kyle's like, oh, I'm honored. This set's incredible. And like, it's a friendly reminder that that I am over the hill. And then he goes, you really are not. Okay. Hey, by the way, what's the end game with that mullet? It looks ridiculous on you, right? I mean, just fluff it in the back there a little bit. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so they have some mullet playing. It looks like shit. It's time to let it go. You know what I mean? Like, it was funny. It was cute. It's time to get a haircut. So Andy's like, okay, well, there's only one opinion that matters. Your wife, Amanda's. Just kidding. Literally, no one has ever said that. Amanda, say something nice to Kyle, even though you're hoarse probably from screaming at him so much about how to behave before you got here. Okay. It's like, Andy, Andy, I really like it. I really like it. Like, we have dogs now, so...
All right, that's very cool. Hey, Lindsay and Carl, congratulations on the engagement. And I see, Lindsay, that you just put on a sash that says every kiss begins with K. Thanks for that spawn con right in the middle of this reunion.
You want to try on my ring? Because Gabby tried to steal it earlier. And Gabby's like, oh my God, that is a lie. So Carl's like, yeah,
Well, like, here's how I feel about Andy. Like, we've been on the show for a while, so, like, to be able to take that final step, I'm, like, really proud of that, Andy. Even though, like, it was dramatic. Thanks a lot, Danielle. Not kidding. But, yeah, I was really proud because, like, you know how hard it is for people to get down on their knee and ask someone to marry them?
Carl, literally everyone in the world's married, it feels like. Please stop acting like you just won a Nobel Prize. Okay. You got a free ring. And, can we talk about the People magazine contro?
Yes. Before you do that, while you pull that up, I just also wanted to say one last thing about this comment. Andy literally said, congrats on the engagement. And Carl's response of, yeah, well, we've been on the show for a while. So to be able to take that next step, I'm really proud of it. Like, even though I thought it was dramatic, it's like, Carl, you clearly practiced this line. This is not the time to say it. You just say thanks. It was really great. Thanks.
Yeah, just say thanks. No one cares. Thanks. Like, we know you're engaged, Carl. Wow.
So, okay, People Magazine contro. Does this have to do with Dave Quinn's tweet? Because I saw his tweet.
Yes, I think it's so funny. I love Dave Quinn bitchily getting into the fray.
Yeah, do it.
So
Dave.
Someone says, but is Paige correct? Was the engagement premeditated? And Dave says, not at all. A rep from the network called and asked people to run a story because Lindsay and Carl were celebrating in a public space where plenty of people could see them. Bravo worried the news would be leaked, likely by those people or by their co-stars. So I wrote fast. Perhaps Paige doesn't in fact know how People magazine works, but I'm happy to fill her in anytime she wants.
Oh.
Calm down, Dave Quinn. Nobody's accusing you of any journalistic, malfeasance, for Christ's sake. I'm sure that People magazine never has any idea when people are going to get engaged and don't have little Dave Quinns popping out from behind the bushes, as I've accused you of doing last week. And I'm standing by it. What do you think of that?
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens Com.
Do you want to lose weight? What if you could lose an average of 15% of your body weight and keep it off? Because at Roe, losing an average of 15% of your body weight is possible. From a starting weight of 200 pounds, you could lose as much as 30 pounds in a year. Go to ro.co/lower. Complete a free online visit and connect with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional from Ro. If your BMI is 30 or higher and treatment is right for you, your Ro provider will prescribe medication FDA approved specifically for weight loss. Medication that, with diet and exercise, could reduce your body weight by an average of 15% over 12 months. Medication that is paired with lifestyle coaching so that weight comes off and stays off. Go to ro.co/lower. Start your journey today and lose an average of 15% body weight by this time next year. That's ro.co/lower.
Are you shopping with Rakuten yet? Rakuten helps you be a smarter shopper and save money on just about everything. With the cash back from Rakuten, you can treat yourself to the things you love. With Rakuten, you get cash back on clothes, groceries, travel, and much more. Even better, you can stack cash back on top of other deals like store sales and credit card points. The stores on Rakuten are the ones you know and love, like Nordstrom, Best Buy, and Petco, and they have a ton of cool ones just waiting to be discovered. There are over 3,000 stores. It's free and easy to join. Just go to Rakuten.com now or download the Rakuten app today. That's RAKUTEN.
Commercial.
So anyway, that is a very funny controversy. I saw, because I did see that Dave tweeted something that was like his page was like, I know how these things work. And he's like, do you know how they work? I was like, oh, Dave
Quinn
has entered the chat. So,
author of that really good Housewives. What was it called?
It was called Diamonds. Life's Not All Diamonds and Rosé, I believe it's what's called. We love Dave. So everyone go read his book and follow him on Twitter.
Go buy his book and give him a lot of shit.
Subscribe to People Magazine and only read his articles.
Like and subscribe only for
Like and subscribe to DaveQuinn.com. No, we love Dave. So Andy is like, it's like, okay, Carl, okay, we get it. You got married. It does not make you a better person. And on that note, Danielle, good evening. You look, I was going to say great, but like a little less great than someone who else looks great. And where are your nerves at right now, Danielle?
She's like, well, I'm just really happy to see you, Andy. He's like, I don't hear that much. Paige, when was the last time you were in Charleston? Did you wear any colors there?
She's like, I was in Charleston like 2 weeks ago. I thought all of Manhattan could hear me go, ugh. but apparently not.
She's like, well, I only dress Southern Charm appropriate on this show, Andy. On that show, I only wear chic politician wife at a funeral. It's how I rebel.
So Andy's like, okay.
Have you noticed that? Because on this show, she wears pastels and bright, beautiful colors all the time. But on that show, she's like, I'll only wear black.
I'm in mourning. I'm in mourning of being away from a real city. So Andy's like, hey, Sierra, is Karma Brown on her way today? Please don't answer because the bit wasn't funny the first time around. I can't believe I invoked it a second time around.
Sierra, I'd love to congratulate you on the 5 minutes you were entertaining this season with Karma Brown. Congrats. Maya, welcome to your second reunion. Can I count on you to tell your roomies they talk too much? That was hilarious.
Oh, hey, and Sam, Gabby, and Chris, welcome to your first reunion. Great to have all of you. Don't talk. It's not your turn yet. Okay, now I don't think anyone was prepared for the seismic shifts that happened this summer. Emotions are still probably very raw, but hopefully we can dig into everything and destroy it even more.
So then we see these clips of Danielle not being invited. So Andy's like, so Danielle, what's your intention tonight? Other than wearing a sad knockoff dress of Amanda's to show where your new loyalty lies.
She goes, I hated seeing Lindsay's face and the way she looked at me. It felt like she was a stranger. Like if it's over, then it'll be over. Okay, not really an intention, just a statement. So you and Carl are really one for one
my
here.
Question. That was great.
Okay, Lindsay, can you do it instead?
Lindsay's like, I am intending for an open and honest conversation in IKEA.
I feel like over the summer, like we weren't hearing each other because all I could hear was babe, 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 babe. We were just like speaking different babe languages at the time. So I think like hearing each other and having an open dialogue will be essential.
Yeah, it's important for me to learn how to communicate with non-babes. Also, she said, I want to be open and honest. And listen, that's Kyle Richards speak right there. Yeah. And I'm worried. I'm worried that my Lindsay love is going to wear off because I'm already annoyed twice now. And we've just begun. So we'll see.
So Andy says, he starts talking about how like the relationships took turns this summer in ways they never could have predicted. And I think we all know what we're talking about. Kyle and Amanda didn't have a single argument this summer, people. Is that crazy? And so they all clap. And Andy's like, yeah, Andy basically asks, like, what's different? Of course, there was no... Amanda goes, well, we didn't have to plan a wedding. That was magical. And then Andy goes, and Kyle didn't cheat.
I think Andy hates Kyle's guts, and it's funny.
I think so.
And Kyle's like, oh, I forgot about that one. So he's like, so what changes have we seen in Kyle? And Amanda's like, you mean aside from the moment? Well, I think it's because, like, we adopted dogs, Andy. And, like, he's been more patient with the dogs. And, like, that's made him more patient with me, Andy. And he's like, are we inching towards fatherhood? Literally? Because that was a tiny penis ad.
Amanda.
Here I come.
Amanda, you are a lovely, beautiful, like, smart woman. You are implying that you are a dog right now. She's like, well, he learned how to be nice to dogs, and now he's nice to me. I'm like, Amanda, stop that.
It's not supposed to go in that order.
Don't do it like that. Just stop. No. Change it. Change it up.
So Andy's like, well, frozen from scrambled eggs says, Amanda, thanks for being so open about fertility. Not many women are. Especially on Bravo, where every show has a storyline about fertility. Any updates on fertility? And she's like, I have my period, Andy. I'm on it today. She came, which is something Kyle has never said. Funnily enough.
But it is something that the LIRR conductors always say when Danielle gets on board. Here she is again.
She's coming.
Yeah, so she had post-birth control syndrome, which is something that happens to a lot of women, apparently. After you go off birth control, apparently it can go for the 6 months to a year of no cycles. So that's what she had. So So, all right, cool. Well, Snickers from Satisfy says you wanted to have kids as soon as you got married, so you can be the hot mom at drop off. But now you say you and Kyle aren't ready to even try for kids. So, what changed, and how many years do you have left to be the hot mom? This will matter for contract rate negotiations.
And Sam goes, you're already my hot mom. Oh my God. Fuck off. How did nobody throw something at Sam's head? How dare you?
She is so ridiculous. Sam is like, the way she adopts like all the I don't know if it's Gen Z or millennial talk, but like she just uses it nonstop. I feel like everything she said is just taken from a meme.
Like but it's so funny that like Amanda's considered old now in this house. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Because it feels like Lindsay's always been considered the old. Lindsay and Kyle have always been considered the oldies, but now this new person is looking at Amanda like she's old. The other day I was at a graduation thing because my niece graduated, and I heard someone go, "Oh yeah, it was like an old lady." And I said, "What do you mean an old lady?" He's like an old lady. She had a baby. I was like, "Oh, God. Wow." So anyway, that's Sam right now. She's like, "You're my hot mom. I mean, what are you, like 8 years older than me? Gross." Okay.
So then Andy's like, well, I hope you didn't think this was all going to be nice because we got some rough stuff for you. So I just want to address a blind item that came out to suggest that Kyle cheated on Amanda this summer. And Kyle's like, well, according to the internet, I've had affairs with Sam and Maya and Sierra the singer. And so I think the internet is just like a powerful drug, but it's great because you can also sell literal alcohol on it. So anytime that comes around, it's triggering for Amanda.
What does the internet being a powerful drug have to do with anything? So are you going to say whether you cheated or not? Because you didn't answer that question. Okay. You just yelled that question. So Andy's like, well, Amanda, you told me on Watch What Happens Live that you like Cher's boobs better than Bette Midler's. Also, that the timing of the cheating rumor was convenient considering what was happening on the show with the Loverboy drama. Lindsay, okay. The Loverboy drama was Kyle was the one who was out of pocket on that drama because he was the one who went on TV and said Carl was such a cokehead that he left his computer at home and doing all this stuff. Kyle was the drama on that, not Carl. Right. So why would Carl come up with a lie to spread to the internet to make himself look better when Kyle was the one looking like an ass? Nobody would try to distract from Kyle looking like an asshole.
Well, maybe it was like slightly before then. I don't remember the exact timing of this, but maybe because remember there was also before the Coke thing came out, there was also like, oh, Carl hasn't been showing up for work, and where's Carl? And Carl's yada yada, like he wants a raise. But either way, like I don't think Lindsay and Carl do a very good job of acting like they didn't send a blind item because they both are like this. I don't think so. Like I don't know. I think that like Carl says it. Yeah, I saw something and like I sent something, but like I don't know how to use a laptop. He doesn't use laptops, and like I don't even know, like we don't even have each other's emails. And like, yeah, I don't even like know what like emails. So like I probably didn't like send a blind item. I actually my eyes work, so like no offense to people who are blind. I just like my eyes work. So like
this was really guilty sounding because she says someone sent it to me and he goes, I sent it to you. She goes, yeah, well, someone sent it to you and you sent it to me. So I was like, there's no way Kyle had time to have a full-blown affair over the summer. Okay. And
she totally
that wasn't the question, Lindsay. That wasn't the question. She goes, oh,
well, I don't know how those like dots got connected. Like I certainly didn't do that, and neither did Lito. So like, yeah, I definitely didn't do that. So like, clearly didn't. I was like too busy doing other things for myself. Yeah.
And Andy's like, well, the question is that the leak happened while the Loverboy drama was happening, and she goes, I don't know how you like.
Yeah, like I don't know, like yeah, neither do I.
Like how do you connect them?
I don't like. I actually do like paint by numbers, not like connected the dots. Just like my preferred activities. So like, yeah.
Paige was like, probably because it's not the first time you guys had written in something about someone on the cast. Okay. Do I believe that? Yes. I believe that Lindsay is NPR, and I believe that she, of course, would know how to do this. Also, believe that you all know how to fucking do it. Anybody can write Dumois an email. Okay? Yeah. Anybody. And do I believe that you all fucking do it? Sure do. I sure fucking do. I I don't know that Lindsay and Carl would have done it for this. I don't think the lover boy drama was that big of a deal. Also, I think if anyone's saying Kyle is having affairs, it's probably people who see Kyle in bars while he's out traveling around for Loverboy, getting shit-faced every night with fans. So that's my opinion on that one.
Well, Lindsay denies writing anything in, and Paige is like, oh, really? So you didn't write an article about Amanda's wedding as anonymous sources? Please, you did. You did do that. And Lindsay's like, no, I didn't. And it's like, then we see a headline. It's like, Craig Conover was kicked out of Amanda and Kyle's wedding before he could even celebrate the new wonderful relationship of Lindsay and Carl, a forever couple.
Lindsay, who hasn't had her hand on any dick in a very long time. So Paige goes, yes, you did. And you guys were saying that Craig got kicked out of Kyle and Amanda's wedding, which did not happen, but I know it was you two. Okay, your boyfriend was fall down drunk and belligerent and acting like a total asshole at that wedding, which was reported. Maybe if you don't want that reported, you should stop dating a drunk, belligerent asshole, Paige. Okay? Because you're dating him.
And Andy's like, so you think that they sent like a blind item to Dumois? And Carl's like, oh, like we were talking about it truthfully. Like this happened. Like I definitely did not send that in, but like it definitely did happen. And I felt like the reporting about us being in love was very accurate reporting. So I really don't think we should be questioning the sources of our journalists these days.
And I like that he said,
oh, but we're like talking about a real thing that happened. So like Craig's behavior at the wedding.
Oh, really? How would you know? You weren't even at the wedding at the end. Well, he was there to see the behavior. You had to be there through the whole thing or you couldn't talk about it? I mean, what the hell? Is that like you can't have an opinion on The Little Mermaid unless you sat through the entire 2 hours and 30 minutes, which was way too many minutes, by the way? Okay.
Was it
so
that long?
like, you were gone before Craig. And he goes,
Oh, whatever it was, Craig's behavior was questionable enough that I heard about it. Period.
Well, I know it was you guys. Okay, I know it was you guys. And he's like, well, how do you know? Like, you talk to the bloggers? And she's like, they DM bloggers all the time. And like, if they think the bloggers don't even tell us, okay, they are liking and subscribing up the wrong tree.
so why would the bloggers tell you if they're not friendly with you? Like, if you're not on friendly terms with these bloggers, ma'am, why would they be so casually giving up sources? I don't believe it. And I think you are friendly with bloggers and you give them stories. There, I said it. You just admitted it. But while I'm on you about that, I would also like to point out that didn't Carl just kind of admit?
Yeah, I definitely heard about it. Like, did I draft up an article just for like my own personal newspaper that I share with my mom? Because it's like a cute thing to do. And she's like the best mom ever. Yes. Like, was I hacked and was it like sent to like Time Magazine? Perhaps. But I didn't send it in. No.
So
He's like, I do not talk to bloggers. I do not DM them. Okay.
and Lindsay's like, literally, I never sent anything in, which is a lie. You're all liars, okay? All three of you, Carl, Lindsay, and Paige. I don't believe a word out of you. All of you are fucking liars there. So Carl's like, well, Paige, like the example, like Paige has an example that has some credibility from what I understand. And Lindsay's like, it's not a lie. And Paige says, no, it's not. Lindsay said, it's a lie. And Paige says, no, it's not a lie. And Carl's like, anything else you want to say, Paige? And she goes, no, but I think I'm good. I have the rest of the day to think of some stuff. Maybe I'll think of some stuff later. Bring out your receipts. Kyle just suggested you had receipts. Bring them. Where are the receipts? Okay, I'm sorry to sound like a Ross Dress for Less favorite of mine, but where are your receipts?
I know. Well, Shiv from Roy says, I saw the blind item about you two cheating on Amanda, which I find hard to believe since you guys seem great. So kind of reminds me of the cheating rumors that Lindsay brought up a few years ago that turned out to not be true. And then we see 4 years ago, Lindsay pulling Kyle aside on his birthday weekend. And she's like,
Paige. Sorry. I just had to get my page in there.
She's like a backup singer. She goes, and so Lindsay's like, I went to a lunch with a girlfriend, and she told me that in April you were making out with some girl in public all night, and like, that's what happened. So just sit with that.
And I'm glad that they added this clip in there because everyone else seems to have forgotten that this is how it went down. She says, so I heard you were making out with some girl in public. And then Kyle tells Amanda later, if that happened, then I'm an asshole about it. He didn't remember. Okay?
Yeah.
And then Amanda crying, it did happen. You can't deny it. I don't do shit to you. No, she said, if it happened, you can't deny it. I don't do shit to you. There are no rumors going on about me because I wouldn't even give people the opportunity to question it. So how do we know that it wasn't true? This is like the most fucked up question, and I don't like how it's phrased. It's unfair. He was accused of cheating, of making out with someone in public, and he can't remember it.
I just don't remember how that storyline resolved itself. I don't remember where they got to with that.
They blamed Lindsay. They blamed just like they do now. They don't have enough to bring against Lindsay this year, so they're bringing up shit from years and years ago, and they're going to throw that at her all reunion long. Which I don't think they're necessarily wrong. Lindsay was an asshole for that, bringing it up on camera. It was
right
like 4
on the
years
birthday
ago.
weekend, and so Kyle's basically like, well, I think we were too quick to move on from some things, but I was told from a bunch of people that like this was not a piece of information that Lindsay had learned about just like 2 days before my birthday, and like the way she spun it, because by the way, you spin a lot of things. Everything. She spins every single thing, including all her mahjong pieces she plays at the old lady's home.
She literally spins bottles. Like she's at a slumber party in the 5th grade, just trying to get somebody to get, like she spins a lot.
She's like a DJ for like Frankie Avalon Records.
She takes out her teeth and like spins them like a party trick. It's like, it's not a dreidel. Can you please put your teeth back in your mouth?
It's really hard to use a life alert when it's spinning.
But Kyle being like, oh, really? Well, I think we forgive a lot of stuff, but she brought it up on camera way after she found out about it, which is not cool. You literally just brought up Carl's Coke stuff when he's been sober a year. You brought it up on camera a year later. Are you really going to be the one?
That is true.
You jerk.
That is
so he's like, well, and Paige is like, yeah. And he's like, well, what shook me to the core and made Amanda not able to trust her ever again was you found out. You knew before we even got to the house that summer. And Amanda's like, yeah, and a good friend. And Andy's like, wait a minute. You waited to bring it up on camera. And Paige is like, on his birthday weekend, straight to the camera. Oh, really? Weren't you guys all just using all of this shit that Austin, the dick grab stuff against Lindsay and waiting to bring that up on camera? Come on, you guys. You guys are all so full of shit. This is a reality show. And also, Amanda, you don't belong on this show anymore if you're going to come after someone this hard for bringing stuff up on camera, like their relationship and shit that you should be bringing up on camera with your fake ass pretending everything's okay all the time, even while cheating rumors are going on about your boyfriend.
So Kyle's basically like, he's accusing her of timing it and working with the producers, which I feel like they probably all do because they're on this show. Isn't that like how it works?
Yes.
And Lindsay's like, there were mutual friends that like saw you. And Amanda's like, well, you never said that. Like, oh, all of a sudden that's okay. And so,
and she actually goes, he goes, yeah, and you blew up my birthday weekend with the cheating rumor that has like no confirmation to actual facts to back that up. You couldn't deny it. So it seemed like you were pretty guilty because all you had to do was say, no, that's a lie. Second, now you need facts to back things up because Paige didn't have any just now when she accused Lindsay of calling blogs. Where are those facts? Fucking hypocrites.
Yeah, hypocrites. So Lindsay's like, well, we weren't in a good friendship space. And Amanda's like, so then why did you say you were being a good friend by bringing that up? And she's like, well, I was just like going to him directly. And Amanda's
she's lying. Because she's lying. She's lying. She's a liar. Liar. Stupid liar.
Amanda's like, on camera? Why would you do that to a good friend? So Lindsay's like, you mean to tell me that if Carl cheats on me? And Amanda never should have said this. She goes, I would never bring it up to you on camera, which is bullshit. That's like literally the moment that we're all waiting for. So yes. She's like, I would pull you aside privately and give you a heads up on camera, and then we can figure out like how you want to go about it, filming it, producing it. How can we maximize your humiliation in this moment? Because that's something horrible to go through, and it's so fucked up that to go through it for the first time in front of the whole world, it was awful. Well, Kyle's cheating is really what's to blame there, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, and also you should be immediately fired for saying no we should handle everything off camera and decide how to deal with it on camera. You fake ass. Who wants to watch that? I say fire Amanda. She's dead to me now. You're on a reality show, ma'am. So Lindsay's like, okay, I'm sorry I brought it up on camera. And Amanda's like, but now we've moved past it. And Lindsay's like, I've apologized multiple times. Like, why are we talking about it? It's like, none of us even look the same as those clips. Like, we literally look like we're on an Instagram old people filter compared to the clips they just showed of this storyline. Why are we talking about this?
It's time for a commercial. It's time.
From Wondery comes a new series, Flipping the Bird, Elon versus Twitter. A story about what happens when the richest man on the planet decides to acquire a powerful social media company in the name of free speech. But does he have what it takes?
It started off promising.
Or is this all just about Elon?
He's essentially mad that his tweets aren't performing as well as he would have expected them to.
It really just felt like, okay, this really is just a platform being ruled by a dictator who does things on his own whims.
And what will be left of Twitter by the time he's done?
Basically, my entire team was gone. By the end of it, infrastructure was just completely gutted. He'll tweet a thing and then everyone's like, we got to work on that now because he tweeted it.
I'm supposed to believe this man is a genius.
It just felt like everything was kind of descending into chaos.
Follow Flipping the Bird wherever you get your podcasts. Hey, Prime members, you can listen to episodes ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today.
For a Crappens commercial.
Kyle's like, your apologies are shallow.
Yeah, he's just basically saying that he basically accuses her of orchestrating a very purposeful backstab and then spinning it as if she's being a good friend and all that. And he's like, it feels just like Lindsay's like great at producing herself. And Carl's like, yeah, well, guess what? You're like pretty good at producing yourself sometimes too. So, and Carl's like, when have I produced myself, Carl? Like, what have I talked to producers while at events and be like, hey, like, this is what I'm going to do this summer? And he's like, Loverboy?
First of all, the producers sit them all down at the beginning of the season. At least they do on Housewives. And I found this out from Dave Quinn's book, actually. Dave Quinn is in this entire recap. But producers sit the cast down and say, what is your storyline? What are we going to do? What are we focusing on this season? That's literally how it works. So stop pretending. Also, Kyle and Amanda, who have made every single season about their relationship, and then Dick Touchgate, and what a monster Lindsay was, and Paige, who pushed Sierra against Lindsay so hard with the Austin thing, and they're all sitting here accusing people of being producers. You guys are such hypocrites. I cannot.
So Carl's like, hey, Kyle, you're the one who cheated on her. You cheated on her, Carl. You cheated. You look great, by the way. I just want to say, but you cheated on her. And Kyle's like, well, but not from that rumor. And he's like, but you're the one who cheated. Like, period. Like, that's the issue. Like, you made like the fuck up and you don't actually own it. And Kyle's like, we're talking about a rumor and it was a blindside and the sabotage. By the way, Carl, I don't need to be reminded that I cheated. Like, I own it. Like, I couldn't sue me for New Year's.
You don't own it. You literally said you don't remember. Okay, most of you've owned it, I think, one time, and the other time you don't even remember it. So he's like, "It was a blindsided attempt to sabotage my relationship," and Kyle's like, "He's just going on, whatever." But you're mad at this rumor, but you don't know who sent it into the blogs, and you're taking selfies with like hot girls who come to Loverboy events literally all the time. So, I don't know. Let's see this week. It's weak sauce.
And he's like, well, it seems to me that Carl's trying to hold you accountable for what he's saying. And Lindsay's like, I mean, how many times do I have to like admit it? Or I guess it was the other way that Kyle's trying to hold Lindsay accountable. And he's like, well, he just wants you to admit that you work in production. And she's like, I found out a week before I brought it to you, Kyle. And like, I also, to be honest, had like a really hard time going through it. It was like really, really hard for me. But like, thankfully, the good people of Pizza Beach, they support me through it. Pizza Beach, your home for beaches and pizza.
Paige's like, oh yeah, I'm sure it was really hard. I'm sure. And Amanda's like, yeah, so sorry you struggled with that. Yeah, okay, Dick Touchgate. Both of you, shut it. So then Andy's like, all right, well, while Kyle and Amanda were navigating their first summer as a married couple, Gabby and Chris navigated their summer. I mean, I have a baby now, so I'm already tired, but this isn't helping. All right, let's get to the backup cast.
So Judy from Judytown asks, hey, Did you really start the summer with a roster, Sam? By the way, whoever asked this question, come on now. People, this is like not a crazy thing for people to be dating multiple people. So Sam's like, yes, it was crazy. I was like dating 4 guys when the summer started. Like most were in New York City, and I try not to mix them too much because they're like that way. They're not like all at the house at the same time. Like it's kind of like wild, like a Sex and the City meets a 2023 like rom-com that's a little bit like chick lit. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a craziness.
These 3 are so boring. The segment was like,
but my favorite part was that when Maya made some joke like, oh, are they all in different boroughs? That way they don't run into each other. And Sam goes, no, because I don't like to travel out of downtown. And Andy just goes, I had a feeling about that one. Like Andy can't stand her either.
And he asks if Danielle and Chris are going to date now that Danielle's single. I'm like, wow, boring plus boring does not make it not boring. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
It's just simple math. Please don't.
There was like a question about Sierra. Like they're asking questions about Sierra and Chris. And Chris corrects. Basically, it's like, Chris, did you like know what you were doing or whatever? But Chris makes the whole audience, the whole group laugh with something he says. He goes, and they all laugh. And my favorite part was that they're all like, ha, 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 ha. And then like Carl realizes that it's like a funny moment, or it's like Lindsay nudges him or something. And they're like, ha, 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 ha. That was funny. I'm laughing. I'm natural. Ha.
People in cream suits are fun-loving people.
That was a funny joke I was alerted to. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I'm laughing with the rest of the group. I'm totally like laughing. It's cool. Ha, ha, ha.
So, Pantry from Full of Confrontation said, Maya, do you see that talking about Sam talking too much in the pantry was disrespectful to carbs? Would you have done it somewhere else if you could have?
And then we see that clip of Sam crying and being like my whole life, I like give so much to people and like nobody wants more of me. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why Costco just gives out little tiny bits of like little gelatinous chickens and not like entire chicken sandwiches. And I've got to learn.
This show is so funny because they're like, hey, Maya, do you think that was not the most delicate way to break this to Sam? Meanwhile, they just literally show, for the second time, a montage of Sam speaking so much that everyone's rolling their eyes. Bravo, you guys are bullying Sam way more than anything Maya ever did.
So Maya's like, I mean, we talked about it. She doesn't care.
Okay, so were you surprised? Did it feel mean-spirited, Sam?
And she's like, yeah, because I mean, like, I didn't think it was like mean, but it's like I've heard it before, and it's like my biggest insecurity, like, And so she does her whole monologue of like, oh my god, it's like people say that I need to talk too much, and it's like really hurtful, Andy.
And I like when she does the thing where she's like, I mean, like, I've spent my whole life in pursuit of friends, and like, what? See? Oh my god! Like, am I crying right now? I'm like crying. Like what? Like what? This is the tears are like happening right now. Oh my god! This is wild. I would even say memeable. If people want to take a screenshot right now, this will be your moment. Like and subscribe to my tears. What? Yeah, I'm insecure about it. Yes, Andy.
So Sam's like, we're good now. But during the season, I saw, the cast like talking behind my back about it, and that sucked. And Maya's like, that's what I was trying to avoid, and that's why I like told you so you could like avoid it in that moment. So,
all right, well, I'm bored. So, Gabby, you had problems connecting with people. Were you surprised by Sierra's reactions to you?
And Gabby's like, I just don't think that you like me, and that's fine. But I think that like there was like a concerted effort on your part to like draw up a reason to not like me.
And Sierra's like, no, it's not that I don't like you. It's just that I don't have personality. And that's often confused as dislike. No, but I really it's fine. Like, I just felt like sometimes the way you talk about money, like, you still have your parents' credit cards. And it just felt like you were flaunting it. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. And are we really going to dedicate an entire segment to this? No, probably not. Let's just move on. Okay. All right, everyone.
So Andy's like, well, Maya maybe saw more of who you were in the end, and Sierra just wrote you off. So how'd that feel, Sierra? How did it feel writing someone off? And she's like, I didn't write her off. He was like, okay, did you feel written off, Gabby? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, Gabby is no longer on set. Okay.
I know. Gabby is like, I felt completely written off. And then he goes, okay, well, anyway, moving on. It's like, oh, all right, I guess that's
And he's literally writing stage directions like, and the reunion continues without Gabby. So he's like, he's saying that Sierra didn't connect with everyone this season, but who she did connect with was not on his bingo card. Hobo from Kenton, New Jersey said you came to the last rumor with so much hatred for Sierra, Danielle. The last reunion, sorry, not rumor. The last reunion with so much hatred for Sierra, Danielle. And then we see the clip of Danielle from last year saying, did you know that the moment that you threw a glass of wine at me, because so much time has gone by and I've developed so much hatred for you.
I think Danielle needs to work on her emotions a little bit in terms of I think that she needs to find more positive ways to direct them and recognize emotional impulses, etc. I think she needs to do some meditation. And
I think she's just a terrible actor. She doesn't really know how to play it well, but she's trying.
Yeah, I don't mind if someone's emotional, but I just feel like she has to work on her conduits there. So yeah, now they're sitting next to each other, and
now they're friends, of course. And basically, Sierra's like, well, I mean, part of the reason we were mad at each other in the first place was based on other people's situations, and we see Lindsay all mad, and Danielle's like, yeah, I mean, it really had nothing to do with us, and Sierra's like, yeah, with us directly, it was all hint, hint, who could it be? And I love that Danielle still has people talking for her, and kind of now she's just being used against Lindsay by Sierra and the other people. Danielle, get your own fucking life, man. Jesus Christ, get your own argument and your own personality. She's always being turned by somebody against somebody else.
So Andy's asking Lindsay basically were you surprised to see that they became friends? And Lindsay was not surprised because she knew that that once there was a crack in the foundation of their friendship, that then that she would go to Sierra or something like that.
It's natural. You have things in common, right? You don't like somebody. Hate brings people together. And Andy's like, so Sierra, you and Danielle are closer? And she's like, yeah, she gets my dry cleaning. She brings my grocery orders by occasionally. And I got an incorrect Grubhub order one time, and she called them and yelled at them for me, and then actually went to McDonald's and picked it up and brought it for me. And it was really nice. I didn't even have to open the door. She just literally left it at the door. So that was cool.
So Andy's like, well, were you annoyed that they became close? And Liz goes, no, not at all. And Paige is like, sure.
Sure. Wait, hold on. Let me give a full Paige sigh.
I'm going to cross my arms and look the other way so you can only see my neck flower. Sure.
So Lindsay's like, well, I have no ill will or thoughts towards Sierra in regards to our past, and I left our past in the past, and I thought that's where we ended this summer together, and I thought we were on really good terms, and when we ended the summer, but sitting here now, it doesn't feel that way.
And then Sierra and Paige are doing this really weird thing. They're sitting, first of all, so close that they're touching. Paige is kind of leaning on Sierra, and they're just both laughing at everything Lindsay says. They're like, right, and giving each other looks and rolling their eyes. Oh, give me a break, you two. So Sierra smiles and nods off to the side, and Paige does a one shoulder bump,
We're back after 7 years as friends. Babe. A lot of babes. Carl and Lindsay went all in on the word babe. James Cromwell is still expecting a paycheck. They said babe so much, okay?
Unfortunately, no one was ever there to actually say, that'll do. So we get a montage of babe, run, babe,
babe.
babe. And so Andy's
He's like, are you guys nervous to come in as a couple? And Lindsay's like, well, as a couple, as a couple, you're the target. So it's like a brace for impact. You're the target because you're a couple. So I love that Lindsay's like freely admitting that she's been coming for Kyle and Amanda all this time.
That is like what you say on Survivor or Big Brother. You don't say it when you go to like vacation with your friends. Like, you become the target because everyone just like wants to be you and wants to have like, all your Marshall's endorsements. And Carl's like, well, like clearly there's like still some resentment from the past, which I can understand. Yeah. And I think it's like hard when you're in a relationship because like everyone has a lot to say, which is new ground for me. And like, this is like the first serious relationship I've been in 10 years. So I'm learning a lot about being in a relationship and being in a house and being with friends. Well, Carl, now do you see why people say, maybe take it slower? Because you're actively saying, hey, I'm learning things as I go. So people are just like, hey, don't go so fast because you're learning things right now, Carl.
Well, also, you're with Lindsay.
Yeah.
And she's cray. She's a little cray. Okay.
And actually, Carl even says here, he's like, well, you're seeing me in a different way now. And like, you're seeing me in a different way. And I was like hoping it would be in a positive and different way versus questioning some of the speed of what we're doing. I'm like, so you are more concerned with how people are viewing you right now, which also makes me call into question, this relationship, because it sounds like it's being fueled by you wanting to update your entire self-image.
Well, I question both the couples because Amanda and Kyle, I think, Amanda admittedly in the beginning was like, well, you don't do that to people on camera. You figure out how you're going to deal with it on camera together, which I think is what her and Kyle do, which is why they're having this great season. And I think that Carl and Lindsay totally try and do that too. And their relationship seems so fucking fake this whole season. We've been making fun of it the whole time. And, it looks very inauthentic, and then they're accused of it later in the episode of how they're always fighting and they're just being fakers on camera. Yeah. But I think that they're all savvy enough to be doing that now, and that's why the season's hurt. The season is literally dead because of it, because you guys are all fucking faking it, Yeah,
because I think both of us believe that they're like in love with each other. I mean, I believe they are in love, but what I don't believe is like the super glossy, like, we just love each other, everything's wonderful, because I mean, Carl literally just essentially said it here. Like, he's been called a fuckboy for years on end, and he has been a fuckboy. Lindsay's like a lunatic, a wonderful lunatic. And now they're like, look, we are mature now. We've grown up. We're grown-ups now, and you can see it because we're in a committed relationship and taking that relationship seriously.
I believe the truth is what we've seen glimpses of in this season when Lindsay was drunk and she was going off on Carl in bed, and because he wasn't standing up to Danielle enough for her, and then she wouldn't stop, and he had to get up and leave the room because she wouldn't just stop coming for him. I believe that Lindsay is really like that all the time, and that when she's drunk, she just doesn't filter it in front of the camera. She lets it out. So I also believe that Carl, when Carl doesn't get his way, throws T-shirts over the camera, has a fit, leaves the situation furious, and flies off the handle over at things that he shouldn't be flying off the handle, and then acts like a complete victim over, like you're personally crushing his soul because he didn't get his way in that moment. I think that all of those parts are true, and I think that would be a much more fun couple to watch on television than this phony ass Kia driving.
Babe,
love you so
and
much,
I'm only
babe.
saying Kia driving because I think it's like their free car that they got,
Yeah. So, hey, Jerry from Got Another Dick Pic from Roman says, you've both known Carl and Lindsay for almost a decade. You've seen them in past relationships, all of which have had a level of volatility. So did that make you nervous about them coming to the house as a couple? And Carl's like, well, if any one of my friends were to start dating Lindsay, or really any one of my enemies, or really anyone in the world, I would be concerned, because it's Lindsay.
I mean, listen, Andy. When you see people outside petting a squirrel, you think, well, I mean, that squirrel looks pretty cute, but it's probably going to give you tetanus. It's your duty to say something.
Squirrel. Squirrels have rusty nails with their teeth. We all know that.
Rabies, tetanus, whatever.
Yeah, but it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Someone's petting a raccoon during the daytime, I'd be like, get a shot afterwards, please.
Yeah, and so he's like, but when Lindsay is drinking again and Carl's supposed to be sober, and so it's concerned for Carl, and Lindsay's like, that's fair. You know, that's a fair concern. As she like,
I am a disaster, yes.
she's like, that's fair. As she like sips from a martini or whatever. So Adam's like, Barnum from and Bailey want to know if anyone else think that Lindsay and Carl's relationship is a circus act. And Gabby's like, no, they're like exactly the same off camera as they are on camera.
Excuse me, objection. I think that they're pretty fake sometimes. And I think they got engaged, and 4 hours later, People Magazine article was on. Like, that's premeditated. That's planned. I know how People Magazine works. I know Dave Quinn's phone number. Okay, and my flower agrees.
So Lindsay's like, what are you talking about? That article came out on Sunday. And she's like, I know how People Magazine works, and you have to plan it that way. It doesn't just work out to come out on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. Also, the producers supposedly have said in interviews that the reason there were images that they got for People Magazine was because they have photographers taking pictures there naturally because they have to do that for the show anyway.
They do that, yeah. I'm talking like, yeah, guys, they do.
But
I can confirm that as someone who has seen press photos before. Yeah, I
agree kind of with Paige on this. I think that they both knew this is a huge engagement. I'm sure Carl got a discount on that ring. That was like a Bachelor scene if I've ever seen one, where Carl's like picking out the ring at the jeweler's place at the brand there. And, you know, I'm sure it was probably as premeditated as most of these things work. I just don't understand Paige's furor over it.
I don't understand it, but I think it's hilarious, so I welcome it. So Carl's like, oh, you're dating the biggest liar on Bravo? Craig? Craig? Yeah, so stop. And she's like, and
not a terrible point.
It's true. I agree with you. And so Paige's like, and you know what? I love every single thing about that weirdo, even if half of it's not even true. And Carl's like, well, then she's like she keeps going on about this lie stuff. And it's just like, it's not cool, okay?
Well, you guys lie, though. You guys lie. That's all you guys do is lie.
And Lindsay's like, oh, why don't we lie about Paige? Come on with some receipts.
Which, again, I'm really impressed that Lindsay, I feel like they're trying to activate Lindsay and it's just not working. She's just like, these people are ridiculous, you know? And again, she asked for receipts and Paige has none. She just says, you spin things. You go into the press and you spin every story.
But then Carl goes, no, we tell our version of what we experience. I'm like, that's called spin. So Paige is like, okay.
Yeah, but it's also people in the press asking you. It's like when they ask you in the reality show, Paige just said this to you in a scene. What do you think about it? And you give your opinion on it. I mean, isn't it all considered spin?
Yes, it is. But I do think that Lindsay and Carl are particularly good at spin too. Like they put a very generous amount of their own personal perspective on what they answer. So Paige is like, she's like, I mean, you can't even text anyone on this couch. And Lindsay's like, well, isn't that a lot? Like, if this is like a lie, like, isn't this like a lot of money we'd be spending on a lie? This like marriage and everything? And Paige goes, yeah, and that's why I'm confused because neither of you have jobs. Like, so yeah, it is weird. That just like cracked me up because it was like I was not expecting that to come out like that dig. I was like, whoa, okay.
But they're at work, like they're literally at their job right now. They work on a show called Summer House that you're currently filming a scene for. So I thought that was a little weird. Also, Kia, I mean, who else has hired them this year? What should have we seen them hawking this year? Don't you all have the same jobs? I think Paige has more of one because she's also got a podcast that's really successful and goes on tour and stuff. But isn't everyone on this cast just on? What is Sierra's job? Is she nursing?
She's a nurse.
Or is she,
but
is she? That's her career.
I don't know if she's actively working.
Does she have a job? Because it seems like she's just...
Yeah, no, it was definitely like a throwing a rock in a glass house and a glass summer house moment. But it was a funny rock. I liked the rock.
You liked
it? It was
the rock.
funny. It may have been a hypocritical rock, but it was a funny rock nonetheless.
So Lindsay's like, oh my God. She goes, yeah, that's why it's weird. And so she rolls her eyes. Still with no receipts, I wrote. So Andy's like, so Danielle, do you think it's all put on for the cameras? And she's like, no, I mean, I just think they want this fairy tale and then they bought into it, you know? And it just like seemed like you wanted to express your love more than anything else and not have like crack show. And Andy's like, well, why would they want crack? I mean,
why would they
who
want
would
cracks?
want that? Did you see any cracks? And she's like, well, there was this moment we went to Montauk as the three amigos, and we went to see our favorite band. And Lindsay was like, me and Lindsay were doing our thing, and she got in a fight with Carlito, and she was very vocal at the table, so much that Carl left the table, and Carl expressed that he was worried that when you went back to drinking, that this part would be activated again. And I just thought it wouldn't happen towards me. And I said, listen, it's going to happen. We'll get through this together. But what ended up happening was you went back to the Hamptons, and he went to the city. I was like,
took an Uber. Uber to the city.
No.
But then Andy's like, whoa. Just to put that in context, taking Uber back from the city from Montauk is an aggressive move. I mean, that is $400 when you're not working, when you don't have a job. That's wild. 4 hours for two jobless people, okay? Wow.
And Andy's like, why wouldn't you mention that on the show, Danielle? And she's like, honestly, I didn't want to put it out there for respect for Lindsay, because I'm a respectful fucking person, Andy. Okay, I'm a good friend.
There's too much stuff that's not being put out there.
No, a couple got in a fight. That is crazy. Oh my God, thank you everybody for protecting them. Unlike Lindsay, who immediately calls the press about everything.
Yep, this is one of the risks of a show that's been on a long time, is that cast members start to self-produce. This was Danielle self-producing too on behalf of Lindsay. Still, like, too much stuff is being left off the show, and it should be on the show as well. So Andy's like, well, it seemed from watching the show that a lot of your fights happened when you were drinking, Lindsay. So you can think about that. Because here's Susan from Day, because that's the only Susan I thought of right now. Hey, I love LA Law. I'm all about your drinking less and partying less, but a couple of times it really did feel like you weren't doing what you wanted to do because you were afraid of upsetting Carl. Do you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells around him?
And she says that, yeah, like she wants to not drink too much rosé sometimes because then she'll get activated and then she gets offensive. And then he's like, well, how can I help you when you're indefensible, And he's like,
I just want her to be her best. And, it gets hard, but, she's grown. And she's done a lot of work from season 4 to now. I mean, we all saw those clips, right? Look, we're totally different people. Andy, can I ask you a question? How have we all aged 47 years in time since season 4?
So then Andy's asking Kyle if he thinks that Carl is more bothered by Lindsay's drinking than he'll admit. And Kyle's like, well, I wasn't trying to blow the lid off that thing, but he told me in confidence that it was early in their relationship, and it was the first time I saw that. That was going to be the number one challenge, and for sobriety is fragile, as you can see, because I'm wasted right now. And he just wanted to be sober at the 1 year mark very badly, as I was concerned, you know what I'm saying?
So they're going to therapy, Carl tells us. And let me just tell you right now, therapy is not going to fix this. You are an addict. You are with somebody you used to get fucked up with all the time. And now that person is your partner, and they're still going out and doing the behaviors that you don't want any part of. This is not looking great for you, okay? This is not a therapy thing. This is your drinking bothers me, and I can't stay with you if you're drinking. Like, that's it. Like, how else can you? I don't see how else you would be able to. I don't see how else I would be able to work past that,
Well, maybe that's why Andy turns to Lindsay and goes, so this is going to be an issue for you. So Carl is sober and you are not. So Al-Anon is your friend. Oh my God, I love Al. He's like so kind. Like, he totally is like a great person to be with. No, it's not a person, Lindsay. It's an organization. Well, so like, I have like an Excel document that like a friend of mine like sent me, and like it's like got a list of Zoom meetings. So just like by looking at that Excel document, I think I've like already done Al-Anon. So thanks for the concern.
So he's like, well, one thing I gotta say is that she signed up for a relationship with me, and my baggage is a lot. So, I'm an addict, fact. I have a problem, and now I have a really great friend to work on it. It's like having a sponsor. A drunk sponsor, which, sometimes fun, sometimes not. But at least you've got a sponsor. Am I right? Every kiss begins with K. Thank you.
I'm like, but it's like the more it talks, it's like the more I'm like, But now do you see why people were concerned with you going too fast? Do you see like there's a lot of stuff you have to iron out just with yourself personally? So anyway, Carl's like, I just want like to give Lindsay grace for what she had to sign up for. So now here's another question. Tide from Pods says, Carl, you revealed to Kyle early on you were going to propose to Lindsay. Why'd you tell him so early? I remember after Kyle started Finger Bang Gate, you would never trust him with a secret again. Sorry, just bring this up because I want to talk about
I just want some clips of, oh my God, Carl, and Finger Bang
Oh, Finger Bang Lindsay.
Bro, Carl Finger Bang Lindsay.
Yeah. So, so basically, Carl still trusts Kyle. That's what that is all about. But and Amanda says she actually only found out like basically that morning when Kyle was going off to the Hamptons because she was staying back. So he was like, "Come on, Amanda, you got to come out. She's gonna get engaged."
I don't believe this. I don't believe this. Do you?
I believe it. I believe it because I think Amanda would have been there.
I think she stayed home with the dogs, so she didn't have to be at their engagement episode.
Oh, that's a good theory.
She hates
good theory.
Guts. I think she's like, fuck that. Of course Kyle told her. So then Lindsay was impressed with the secret being kept, and Chris is asked if he was surprised that Carl let him in, and he's like, call me an idiot. I just don't think that's a big deal. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I just can't with Chris. I
just
can't.
Chris,
it's like all I
don't even know why I read Chris lines. They just kill everything. So
yeah.
Now Andy moves into, this proposal was really good, but Lindsay, you did have a dress on with Charlie Brown patterns. Your eyelashes were on. Your hair was curled. I mean, come on, Lindsay. Spill some tea to Uncle Andy, all right? And Paige is rolling her eyes. She's like,
And Lindsay's doing this whole thing like, no, I told you no, because like, don't you remember? It was like very well documented on camera where I was going around the whole house and saying like, what kind of bonfire are we doing? Is it jeans and t-shirt or is it elevated? Is it elevated? What? Whoever says, is this an elevated bonfire? Like elevated, I don't feel like elevated bonfire is a concept that is really like top of mind. So like, I think she fully asked that question so that way she could act like she was fully naive about the situation, because no one ever says we're going to a bonfire tonight and someone goes, oh, is this a formal bonfire? Is this elevated tonight? Like it's never that option.
So Andy's like, so Paige, you said she was wearing the shoulder pads to the beach and no one does that, so you knew. And Paige goes, when she asked me if I liked what she was wearing, I mean, that was my tip off. Because in 5 years, she's never asked me any fashion-related questions. Obviously. I mean, look at
her. So Andy's like, well, Danielle, you had a very big reaction to the engagement, okay? And despite your feelings at the time, like watching it back, do you wish you had reacted differently? There's really only one right answer to this question.
She's like, that was the most raw I've ever been on this show.
Wow, Danielle. I love that Danielle's like her own Drama Desk Award. You know, she's just like her own nominating committee. She's like, I would like to congratulate myself on the rawness this season. Thank you. I found out 30 minutes to an hour before the party and something I thought I should have been a part of. And that was just raw emotion, Andy. Raw.
So then Andy asks Carl and Lindsay about everyone's reactions, and he also throws in there, you know, because some of them were kind of muting their reactions out of respect to Danielle. So if that makes you a little angrier right now, like, feel free to lean into that.
And Lindsay's like, yeah, I mean, listen, I wasn't surprised because I was standing next to Danielle when Amanda and Kyle came from their engagement, and Amanda's face for that wasn't really excited either. And then Amanda goes, you weren't both giving us weird looks. But then we see the clip, and it was not. Lindsay was screaming happily, and Danielle was looking like and giving, you know, Paige looks. Yeah. So that's not true, Amanda. Hater.
Yeah. Lindsay was actually trying. She even says, she's like, yeah, so look, Danielle, I'm just trying to give you a little, throwing you a little bone here, like a little consistency in your reactions. And she's like, no, you're saying I hate engagements. She's like, I did not say that. She's like, or that I hate happiness. I'm like, Danielle.
That is kind of what Lindsay did, though, right?
Well, yes, but it's also, I do think she was kind of saying like, well, this is just what she does at engagements, so can't take it too personally, maybe. I felt like she was throwing us like a tiny little chicken bone, and Danielle just does not. Danielle was given basically a giant opportunity to patch up a very embarrassing reaction to someone's engagement, and she just sort of actually, like you said, gave herself a Drama Desk Award for it.
So, love, listen, you got an Obie. So congrats. Yeah. So Andy's like,
Carl, you said in an interview that all the girls owe Lindsay an apology, but thankfully while she's waiting in traffic for that, it's going to be comfortably in her Kia. Could you elaborate?
And Amanda goes, yes, please, Carl. And he's like,
well, you guys see like some of the commentary that goes on, don't you?
And Maya's like, speak consistently if you're going to do it. Be consistent. He's like, well,
at the beginning of, which I don't know,
shut up, Maya.
So Carl's like, at the beginning of the summer, Lindsay and Paige got together for lunch, and she told me it was healthy, and like you started saying out you guys were good, and what changed so much? Because there was like so much negativity towards her.
And Gabby's like, yeah, I do remember the first weekend you said Lindsay and I are good. And then like after the first like sign of tension between Danielle and Lindsay, you were like, I'm so glad that Danielle is finally seeing the person that Lindsay is, specifically the old person that Lindsay is. And I just was like confused, like why you were excited that a friendship was breaking up. And Paige is like, I was never excited. Because if I were excited, I would have said, yay. But I didn't say that. I would never be excited for a friendship breaking up. I would only be excited for someone who for 7 years has worn terrible outfits on the show to finally get a fashion sense by asking the one person who has style in this house for an opinion. That's all.
But your facial reactions say differently, Paige.
And she's like,
I'm speaking now. She goes, well, your facial reactions speak differently, Paige.
And she's like, well, and I stand by my facial reactions because I think at one point, I, as a 25-year-old new girl, so like on my first summer where Lindsay didn't speak to me at all, in fact, screamed at me. And she's like, that's not true. And then Paige rolls her eyes. She's like, roll the clip. So then we see the clip of, was it Christmas in July?
Committees.
They're all in red. I forget what this whole thing was about and what Lindsay was pissed off about.
I don't remember either, but I do remember this was the episode where Lindsay's like,
no committees. I'm sick of these committees.
So, Lindsay was just basically screaming at them. And she's like,
if you have a problem, you confront that person directly. This is all very like middle school.
Because she
But this is also like a fight where they were talking about Lindsay behind her back and she found out and got pissed off about it. So she's like, you don't tell the entire house. It's very middle school. Just come to me. And so you were talking shit about Lindsay and she called you out on it. And she's the bad guy because she raised her voice. Okay. So then Paige has a monologue and she's like, well, that was a wash, okay? But then I auto-gravitated towards Amanda because she was, like, the only girl who was nice to me in the house. And, like, I know that you guys had a very different experience than me and all those other girls did. Like, Lindsay was nicer to you than she was to me or to Sierra or to... She just names every girl who's ever been on the show.
She even mentions Jules.
She's like, Hannah... to Jules, to anyone. And like, do I sit in my bed and gossip with my girlfriends about the shit that goes on like she does to other girls? Absolutely. I've always, or as I sometimes like to say, 1000%. I always sat back and watched her fight every other girl and have her own situation with every other girl. That has nothing to do with me, but I was in that position one time. So when they come up to me and then they cry, I say, I get it. I totally get it. I've been there.
So... she's kind of got me on this one because I kind of agree with Paige on this
Same.
one.
This is where I feel like the pivot started to happen for Paige, this monologue.
Yeah, I feel like this was a very good argument for her, saying like, yeah, they say I'm a mean girl, but of course I sit in my bed that's full of girls that don't think I'm a mean girl, like I'm a girl's girl. And Lindsay is not a girl's girl. And so, of course, when Lindsay's being a dick to all the girls are going to talk about what a dick Lindsay's being. Like, that's what you do with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So, like, I get that. But she does also actively like hold on and come for Lindsay. Like she waits and they like come for, I mean, I feel like they do it all the time to where it goes past just talking shit with your friends. It comes to like revenge, and that's where I think it's different. But that said, just let her have it. You know what I mean? Like I'm with her. So she's
I kind
like,
of feel like Lindsay sucks the air out of the room. I'm assuming. Like I feel like Lindsay's so big and she's sort of brash and she just sucks the air out of the room. And I kind of feel like this is like all they have. And so then it just like builds up and then it comes out like, blah, and it just sort of, it reads like Mean Girl, but I think it's really just like shared bad experiences with Lindsay. And listen, like I said before, I love Lindsay on the show. Lindsay is the star of the show, you know, but I think that like they just do not like Lindsay.
So Lindsay's like, oh, so she finishes. So when Danielle finally got what everybody else was saying, was I happy Danielle started to stand up for herself? Abso-fucking-lutely. And Lindsay's like, okay, but then why at lunch would you squash that beef? Brandon. And Paige is like, because I went on a.
She goes,
you
I
went on a
squashed that beef?
tirade. Oh, she went. Yeah. You went on a PR tirade that I weaponized your miscarriage, which was so false. I sent you flowers. Now, what was this weaponizing the miscarriage?
I don't remember. It's something that comes up on Facebook a lot. Like I honestly don't remember, and I've been too lazy to look into it. And was it because I don't remember? Were they kind of like shaming Lindsay for having gone out like so hard after her miscarriage last season? Was that what that was? I really don't remember. But it is a thing that pops up on Facebook, like
or not telling. I don't know. What's his buns about it?
Jason,
or like going on her like she was going on People magazine. And Jason didn't know. I mean, I know that's why Jason was upset because he wasn't interviewed for the People magazine article about it. But I don't remember this whole thing about Paige weaponizing her miscarriage. And listen, you would think that I would remember that because I love weaponizing. I love weaponizing.
Well, either way, she says that she's like, I sent you flowers.
But I just mean you would think that I would keep score of that.
Yes. And so Paige is like, she's like, I mean, I sent you flowers. And she's like, and by the way you treat production, the way you treat fans, even Andy knows you're rude. He had to yell at you at BravoCon for the way you speak to his employees. Now, this is pretty damning because Andy did not refute. Andy did not say, keep me out of it. Well, you know, he just went like this. He just went, oh, and he kind of looked down at his notes.
He just
like,
did this.
I'm not
My
here.
cars! My cars!
Oh, this was hilarious to me. Lindsay berating Andy's employees that he had to yell at her. And Lindsay's like, Andy didn't yell at me at BravoCon. And Paige is like, everyone knows how you act towards people. And Sierra's like, yeah, you were terrible to people. You were terrible. And Paige is like, you threw a shoe at someone.
We see a clip. It's like after 9/11 and George Bush gets hit in the head with the
That's
shoe.
what I was thinking. We finally figured out who it was.
And it was so long ago. We saw you throw a shoe in the Zapruder film. But this is so funny because Lindsay, I love that, you know, they're always making Lindsay out to be the mean old lady. But this is so Ramona, isn't it? Like, of course, Lindsay is going to turn into the Ramona of her time.
Of course.
And let me say, I stick up for Lindsay a lot. I totally believe this 100%, that she is a nightmare, that she is a villainous human being, that she is rude to everybody who she considers lower than her, that she demands, she yells. I do not doubt that she threw a shoe at somebody. I don't.
But it makes me like her more.
No, I don't care.
I was like, yes, I love these people on Bravo.
I know. It's so funny because Paige and Lindsay are going at it. And normally I'm like, oh, shut up, Paige. You're just mean. But this one I'm like, LOL, Paige is being hilarious in this. And she's totally right about Lindsay. But Lindsay's also totally right about Paige being a fucking hypocrite and a mean girl. But I still like them both, you know?
Yeah.
So she's like, name the girls on this show name one girl on this show that you even talked to, sans the new girls that you've known for like 5 minutes. And she's like, I texted Maya when the dog bit her at a wedding.
I love that was it. Like, sorry a bit. Maya's like, that doesn't excuse other things. And he's like, Sierra, I thought like we were in like a totally fine place, and like all of a sudden, like we show up at the arena and we're like not. And Paige is like, because you go and you do press tours. And Lindsay's like, well, I haven't spoken about you guys. And so Andy's like, okay. Danielle, when you were friends with Lindsay, did she complain about Paige? And also, did she ever throw a Reebok at your head?
It's like yes and yes. And Lindsay goes, yeah, but so did Danielle. Of course, she hated Paige and Paige hated her. Of course, you're going to go talk. It's like Paige's argument of I sat there and talked to my girlfriends about Lindsay. Of course I did. Same argument here. Of course she did. Tell Danielle Paige is an asshole. So Paige goes, yeah, Danielle sat us down and told her that Lindsay hated us from the get-go. And Lindsay says she doesn't have any hatred in her bones. And Danielle's like, yes, you do. And Lindsay said, if I did, I would treat you the way that you treat me, Paige. And Paige just rolls her eyes. And she goes, girl, I don't even speak to you. She goes, no, you speak behind my back. And that's the most pathetic fighting I've ever seen. Which is a good point by Lindsay. Because Paige shows up to the reunion like she's such a badass. But everything else she does during the season is working behind Lindsay's back to get other people to hate Lindsay.
So then Paige goes, you're literally nuts. And Carl goes, yeah, that's a real nice thing for you to say. And she goes, you're nuts too. And Lindsay goes, I'd rather be nuts than boring.
Let me just say to Paige, Lindsay, and Carl right in this moment, speaking directly to you, you're all right.
Great work.
You're all
great
right.
work. All the three of you, great work. This reunion. You're really doing it.
Correct.
Is this a 3-part reunion? I feel like there's only enough content for one more reunion episode. I don't know how.
I hope not.
I don't know what else they have left.
Paige
to talk
did a
about.
really good job of carrying this one, but this next one is just going to be Danielle fake sobbing, and I don't know how much of that I can take. So let's just please keep it at a 2-parter request. I know it's already done. It has nothing to do with our requests either way. But bravo, please.
It was good.
Us.
It was good. Because it's like. I feel like they were not stretching out the content. Like they've moved over the stupid stuff quickly. Chris, Sierra, Gabby, all that stuff done.
Good episode.
So,
good
one more
reunion.
episode, hopefully. And until then, we have a whole bunch of other content coming up later this week. So be sure to like and subscribe on our podcast feed and on YouTube. And we're on TikTok and also on Instagram and on Twitter. So follow us wherever. And we'll catch you on the very next episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Watch What Crappens would like to thank its premium sponsors.
Ain't no thing like Allison King.
Ashley Savoni, she don't take no baloney.
Dana C. Dana Do. She's not just a Sheila, she's a Daniela. Itchels. Aaron McNicholas. She don't miss no trickolas. Jamie. She has no last namey.
Hava Nagila Weber.
Sipped some scotch with Jessica Trotch.
She's always supplying. It's Kelly Ryan.
Kristen the Piston Anderson.
You're never alone with Lacey Monteleone.
Let's give a kisserino to Lisa Lino. Megan Berg. You can't have a burger without the Berg.
The Bay Area Betches. Betches.
And our super premium sponsors.
Somebody get us 10 cc's of Betsy MD.
We're taking the gold with Brenda Silva.
Let's get real with Caitlin O'Neill.
Don't get salty with Christine Pepper. Can't have a meal without the Emily Sides.
Nobody holds a candle to Jamie Kendall.
She's not harsh, she's Jill Hirsch.
My favorite Murdo, Karen McMurdo. We love him madly, it's Kyle Pod Shadley.
Let's go on a bender with Lauren Fender. We want to hang with Liz Lang. The incredible edible Matthews sisters. Nancy Cease and Desisto.
Give him hell, Miss Noel.
Ruru LaRue.
She's the queen bee, it's Sarah Lemke.
Shannon, out of a cannon, Anthony. Let's take off with Tamla Plain.
She ain't no shrinking Violet Kuchar. We love you guys.
Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Watch What Crappens ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen ad-free with Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Hey, I'm Brooke.
And I'm Arisha.
And we're the hosts of Wondery's podcast, Even the Rich, where we bring you absolutely true and absolutely shocking stories about the most famous families and the biggest celebrities the world has ever seen.
Our newest series is all about the teen movie icon Gabrielle Union. After spending her childhood trying to assimilate and breaking into a racist industry, Gabrielle thought her success meant someone else had to fail. But when she's faced with hard choices beyond her control, she realizes that the only way to find real success is to come together and build community.
In our series, Gabrielle Union, Bigger, Badder, Better, we'll tell you how she shook off her need for perfection, found her true self, and created the life she always wanted.
Follow Even the Rich wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free on Amazon Music or the Wondery app.